Hey Bamfam, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kara, aka Lady McBamf, and today I have a video that is going to be a guide for all of the people in the world who want to become readers. I have read about 400 books. I studied literature in my university, I have a degree in it, and I worked in a bookstore, and over the course of my life, I have met so many people who see me reading and always say the same thing. They say,
"How do you do that? How do you do that? I always get so bored by sentence number 2. I can't even read."
No, they won't say that. Yes, I've heard all of these before. So then I thought today I would put together a list of 5 books that will help you go from a non-reader to a reader. All right, the first thing I want to mention before we start talking about the 5 books that I've picked are the 3 criteria that I think are important for books to be able to recommend them to non-readers. Number 1, they have to be easy to read. I am not going to recommend some crazy ass Russian literature or the Canterbury Tales or something that's from the Middle Ages or in Latin. No. These are going to be books that have normal vocabulary, that are probably kind of modern and easy to digest. I'm not about that pretentious life. "Oh yes, you must read Charles Dickens, darling, or else you'll never get anywhere in the literature world." No. I'm not gonna do that. Criteria number 2 that they have to have is they have to be engaging. I'm also not going to recommend a book that's about birds or a philosophy book about finding your inner chakra. No, and then you find it kind of boring because you don't actually like learning about the chakras in the human body, or you're not into bird scouting. No. These are going to be across the board engaging reads. And criteria number 3, they're going to be socially relevant. So what I mean by that is these are books that you can bring up at conversations. If you are at a dinner party or some hoity-toity event like this and someone starts bringing up books, "Oh, what book have you read recently?" and you don't usually read, so then sometimes it can be a hot topic and you're like sweating bullets, like, "Oh shit, I don't read any books. The last book I read was in high school." Girl, I got you. I'm gonna be recommending books that most people have heard about, and if they haven't heard about it, it's such a good book that when you bring it up, they're going to be shocked. They're going to say, "Wow, I didn't even know that you read stuff like that. That's awesome. I will have to check it out." Yeah, you're welcome. So these are gonna be those kind of books. All right, so without any further ado, I want to tell you guys how you can ease yourself from becoming a non-reader all the way to being a reader. Let's go. Number 1 is going to be starting to exercise the reading muscle, and then number 5 is going to be marathoning that reading muscle, getting a full-on sprint in there, okay? So, number 1, Saga. The writer is Brian K. Vaughan, and the art is by Fiona Staples. Yes, I have started us off with a graphic novel. It really pays off fast. You can finish a graphic novel in about a couple hours, so it makes you feel that sense of accomplishment from reading a book, the high that you get from finishing a book. Graphic novels are an excellent place to start reading if you are not a reader. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll like this series. It's about 2 soldiers from opposite sides of a galactic war falling in love and having a baby, and then shit goes down. These are the soldiers here. We also have an interracial couple, which is awesome. Let me see if I can find a good representation of some of the art you're going to see. So here's a good example. Sorry to start off the gate with one that's a bit more mature, but here we are. Number 2, we're gonna graduate from graphic novel to a book that has photos in it. And I think they made this book into a movie recently, but I haven't seen it, but I've read the book twice. Whatever. It's called A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I'll put a picture here. A Monster Calls is about a boy who lives with his seriously ill mother, and then one day a monster appears. It's really short. I have it here actually. Not long at all. And you can see some of the photos inside. Let me find a good one for you. Yeah, so some of the photos like this. So again, this book is really good for people who are just beginning to start getting into reading because it's really gratifying to finish a book within a day. I picked it because of its actual format of photos and text. Also just because overall it's a really good story. The book isn't just about some random monster who comes to their house. It is a metaphor for depression and for sadness and for trauma. And I felt like Patrick Ness encapsulates that feeling blendedly within such a short book. So, number 2, A Monster Calls. Give it a read. All right, rounding up number 2 and coming into number 3, I'm gonna lay a classic on you guys. A lot of y'all have probably heard of it, and if non-readers have not read it, get on this bandwagon. It is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It's a story about 2 outsiders who try to find their place in this unforgiving world. There's no photos in this one. This is all words, but it's super short. This one is a classic, so again, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have some clout in reading conversations. You can say, have y'all read Mice and Men? And most people will be like, oh my god, you know that book is so good! Right? And again, this is another book that you can read within a day. When I had to read this, I was in high school and there were some kids in my class who were just the kind of kids who never liked to read the books that were assigned, which is fair. But the book is only 100 pages or something really short like that. And I remember when we were reading it for class, a lot of people who even did read it were loving it. And so then eventually what happened was all of the kids, even the kids who don't read, ended up reading it because it's super short and everyone around them was talking about how good it was, so they felt left out. I've never seen a book do that before, where it entices people of all types to read it. That's why I put it on this list of number 3. So, number 3, Of Mice and Men. Number 4, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. So now we've graduated from graphic novel to book with photos to small classic to a little bit of a thicker book, still short, but this one is a lot more modern. And they made an excellent movie about this in the past couple years. I forget what year it came out, but Stephen Chbosky, the author, produced the film. So you have that duality where you can read the book and then immediately reward yourself by watching the film. The story follows a boy named Charlie. It's his coming of age story. I would say this book needs to be read by everybody. And again, it's really short, so you can get that reader's high that I think personally becomes addictive. That's where the whole point of this is going. When you start off by reading smaller books, and then books that have a huge payoff, not just in the plot and story being really good, but you can finish it really quickly, you get addicted to that. That's why I recommend The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Read it, it's great, I promise. And last but not least, we've graduated from just dipping your toes into the literary pond, and now we're learning to sprint into becoming a reader. And so what is the final book that I recommend for people who are not readers, who want to become full-fledged readers, is the Harry Potter series. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. Don't turn off the video.
Oh my god, Tara, everybody says to read Harry Potter. You're not the first one to ever think of that.
Yeah, okay, I know that, I know. But there's a reason why you should read Harry Potter. And not just for the story, we all know what it's about. The reason why Harry Potter is such an excellent series to read, especially if you're not a reader and you're trying to become one, it's because of the gradation of small to large. You have the first book, which is written for kids and is kind of small. The second book gets not only thicker, but for an older audience, and the progression continues until you have the 7th book, which is 800 pages long and meant for a young adult audience. So it is a perfect gradation into becoming a full-fledged reader. That's what I have to say about that. All right, and that was it. Those are the 5 books that every person who wants to be a reader should try to read in order to get those reading muscles going. If you guys have any recommendations, leave them down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see you guys later. Bye!